In this video, I'm going to go through the lab that we just completed. I'm doing it right after the second lab ended, just in case there were some questions that folks may have had as we're doing things. Okay. So for this, I'm of course including the IO string, stream, and then the string class, since we're doing a string just in case we need it. Okay. It's also important that I include the unordered linked list.h. Okay. Now we don't need to include linked list because the unordered linked list already includes that. So we're good. We've got our using namespace standard. Okay. And I went ahead and started with this. We do menus like this enough. It's probably worth having a little file somewhere, um, menu.txt or something that you can just cut and paste into your program to not have to create a menu every time. Okay. So in this case, I've got a choice here, an integer choice, and then I'm in a do loop here. I don't normally do loops, but you want to make sure that you get inside the loop the first time. So we could force it with a while loop or just use a do loop. So that's what we're doing. Okay. So basically, this is just the menu. So it's got a little header here, add student, search for student, delete student, or display roster, exit, and then where they can enter the choice there. Okay. We're then CNing the choice. And then this is the kind of thing by keeping it in your file, you remember the cn.ignore will ignore any random new line characters that may be hanging around. Okay, it's never a bad idea to do that. And then I'm just going to do a switch on the choice with the 1 through 5 options, and then a default just saying that basically it's an invalid choice. Okay. And then I'm going to keep them in the list here until they hit a 5. Okay. The 5 is the exit. So this will stay in this do while list the entire time until that's done. Okay. So now let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to be doing this. Okay. So with the choice here, after I've got that, I need to go ahead and create my unordered linked list, right? So I have my unordered linked list. Since this is a templated function, I have to go ahead and put the type of unordered linked list that I want. Okay. I'm going to call mine roster. You can call it whatever you want. I didn't specify. So that's going to create an unordered linked list of strings called roster. Okay. And then just for later on down the line, I'm going to need a string name. Now, I could create a struct out of students, make a student struct with first name, last name that could even have, email address, whatever, and then create a linked list of that struct, whatever I call it. But we're going to keep it simple and just do it with a string. Okay. So that should get us set up for there. And then we just have to worry about the cases here. Okay. So in case one, which is where we're going to add a student. Okay, I'm going to be right here. So to do that, I have to see out, enter the student name to add. Okay. And then I'm going to use a get line here. If I use the CN, I can only get a single name. So the string cannot have any spaces in it. Okay. And the see and ignore we just did will would catch that if that's the case. But we want to allow them to enter a first and last name and whatever they want. Okay. If you didn't do this, again, I don't grade the lab, so it's not a big deal, but this makes it a better solution. Okay. And remember the get line takes CN, that's where it's coming from, and then the variable it's going to be saved as. Okay. So this will allow us to get the name from the user. Okay. And then from my roster, okay, that's my unordered linked list object. I have options here. It's unordered, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and do an insert last. Okay. You could insert first, but that would feel a little weird. If you do insert last every time, it's going to give you the same order that you put them in as, basically. Okay. And what am I inserting? I'm inserting that name we just entered. Okay. So I ask them for the information. I get it. I insert it to my linked list. Then I do a break. Okay. And not a bad idea ever to go ahead and compile that. So far, so good. Okay. Sometimes there's an error and you'll be able to fix it. Okay. So that's case one. So case two, if we look at the menu there, is to do a search. Okay. So it's going to start off getting the name just like we did before. Okay, so I can go ahead and copy the first. In fact, the whole thing's going to be similar enough. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to have to make some changes. But anyway, okay, I want to enter student name to search for this one. Okay, still do that. But this time I'm going to call the search function on name. Okay, but I'm going to have to do something different here. I'm going to have to figure out whether it's found or not based on whether this comes back true or false. Okay. So I can say if roster search name. Remember, I don't have to say if it's equal true because it just is true. Okay. It doesn't have to be equal true. Okay. Then I can see out that the student name is enrolled. Okay. Put a new line character there. Okay. And then we have our else. This is a binary um, if they're not enrolled, or if they're not enrolled, if they're either enrolled or not enrolled. There we go. That was harder to say than it should have been. Okay, I'm going to see out the name is not enrolled. No other options. Okay, and I don't like the way that looks. So does that fix what I want? It doesn't because I forgot to put semicolon. There we go. Looks better. And then I don't forget the break. Okay, there's the break. Okay, that should work for the search. Should be fine. Okay. Three, if we look back up here, it's going to be to delete the student. Okay. And again, it's probably not a bad idea to go ahead and test this after each time, but we're not going to do that. Okay. And this again, similar to what we had before. So if my kill is still there, can I yank it back? Yeah, we do it yank again because it's going to still going to enter the student name here, but this time the student name to delete. Okay. Otherwise, it's the same idea. Okay. Then we're going to get line the name for that again. Okay. And then for three, we just have to do the delete node. Okay. So I'm entering the student's name to delete. They enter it. And then we're doing the roster against the name of our link list. And then delete node. We're sending that the name. Okay. Don't forget your break, or your program will do everything below there. Okay. So now we have to go up for our case four. Case four is display. Okay. So we have a print function. So that should be fine. So I don't have to enter anything there. So I can just see out dot class roster. Okay. Colon. Put a new line character there. Okay. And then I've got roster dot print. That's all that needs to do. That'll print them out one on each line. And then I want another end line character there just so it won't look weird. Okay. It'll bring us back to the right spot. Okay. And then five's the exit, so we don't have to do anything, but we'll go ahead and do a C out here. Say something like exiting program. Something like that. Again, with the new line character. And this doesn't need a break. Okay. Yes, it does need a break. Default doesn't need a break. Okay. Default just is. Okay. And with any luck, that should be what we need. So we can review it here real quick. I have to include the unordered linked list.h. Okay. Then I have to create an object of type string. Okay. So again, if I was creating one of type ints, I would just have int instead of string. Okay. Here's the menu. The menu has this int choice. I'm printing out the menu. I'm doing a switch on whatever choice they enter. They enter the choice here. And then I'm going to do the cn ignore just to avoid any junk getting into my cn buffer, okay, or my input buffer. Okay, and I've got the options here to enter a student. I'm going to insert last, so it'll do as we would expect. It'll go to the end of the list every time after doing the get line to get the values. Then on the search, I've got whether the search is true or false. It'll print a different message. Okay. And then I've got where we're entering the student name to delete. We're going to delete them. Okay. And then after that, it's going to print out the whole roster. And then I've got the exit in the program. And then there's an invalid choice otherwise. Okay. So I can go ahead and test this. No errors, which is good. Going to run it. Okay. Got this message. Again, probably not the prettiest thing you've ever seen in your life, but um, it gets the job done. If I get this crazy thing out of the way. Yep, you probably didn't see that, but there was something in my way. Okay, so let's first start by option 6. It lets me get back over here. Option 6 is invalid choice. That's correct. Let me add a student. Let's say Bob Smith. Okay, Bob Smith was added. Let's display the roster, make sure he's there. Yep, there's Bob. Again, formatting could be better. Okay, let me add another student. Alice King. Add one more student. Carol High Street. Okay. So now we can display the roster. Okay. Notice it's displaying all across the line. Again, that's kind of ugly. Don't like it. We probably would want to fix that, but it does get the job done. Okay. Let me search for a student. If I search for Alice King, it says that she is enrolled. If for some reason I search for just Alice, Alice is not enrolled. Okay, which is what you want. Okay. Um, Let me delete a student. So let's delete, let's say somebody that's not there. John Doe. Okay. It'll let us know the item is not in the list. Again, I don't have to check this because if my linked list is correct, I'm just using the functions, but I'm just showing that it's working okay. Let me delete a real student. So let's delete Alice King. Okay. So she should be gone. If I display the roster, you see that she is not there. Okay. And then I exit. Okay. So again, not the prettiest program I've ever written for sure, and I would definitely want to clean that up a little bit. But it gives you the idea of how we're going to use these data structures, right? And you see the power once you create an instance of that data structure, you get to use all those built-in functions that you've created. Okay. So hopefully this will be helpful to review. Again, in class tomorrow, we're going to be doing some more examples. So it's important that you understand how to use these things. Okay.